Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mackenzie Woodworking. So, our project today is preparing some wood for a build when we got coming up. So, I tried to find something that was quite rough. Here's a piece of Western maple, and we have to cut out the split down the center, the heartwood out of it. You see, it's got quite a warp to it, and it's a live edge. It's quite warped. And so what we're going to want to do is turn this into 4 planks. I want 4 3/4 inch planks out of it, so we'll be doing some resawing and straightening it up. So I'll walk you through all the principles that you need. And we'll be cutting off the live edge on the sides and using a jointer, thickness planer, bandsaw, and a table saw. So you can also use hands and tools if you don't have any of them. So the first thing we have to do is run a couple of straight lines, and what I'm trying to cut out of this is 5 3/4. If I can get 5 3/4 cuts out of it. So just run a couple of chalk lines. And that'll be for the bandsaw, so that we can follow along. We'll be cutting this freehand to divide the board in half. Like I said, what we have to do is cut the split out of it in the center. So just measuring across there, and then we'll just snap the lines, and then we can take it to the bandsaw. And then we'll do the parallel one on the other side, so we can cut out the center of the heartwood. Now we'll go into the firewood pile. Keep us warm in the shop for the winter months. Cutting up the split. Now we're over at the bandsaw. And I live in the West Coast, so the rainforest, so there's a lot of dampness in our shop. What I'm going to show you here, what I put on a lot of my tools is corn flour or cornstarch, and makes it nice and smooth. And I used to use talc. Can't get talc anymore, it's hard to get, so cornstarch works. And what it does is just takes out the moisture. There it is there, and it just takes out the moisture and allows the board to glide over the top of the cast iron. And plus I wax all my tools. If we shut down for more than 2 or 3 days, we put a light coat of wax on top of all the cast iron. So we'll just run this through the bandsaw. This is a 20-inch bandsaw, resaw. A lot of people probably wouldn't have one of these, but this is the safest way of cutting a board like this is on a bandsaw. So if you have a small bandsaw, use that, or even a jigsaw. If you got a big wonky board like this, it's safer to do it with a jigsaw down the sides or a skill saw rather than a table saw. This would be a little snaky running through table saw. So we'll just divide these 2 boards from the split down the center. You can probably see how easy this glides over the cornstarch. It really gives you a divider barrier. Use that on most of our tools. And I've got some check on one side of this board on the bottom, but we'll be planing that as well. There we go, we got that one done, and we'll go to the other one. And you can see I'm just following along on my chalk lines. This is all done by freehand. And once you've done this a few times, it's pretty easy. This is a 1-inch blade that I'm using. It's a resaw blade. And the wider the blade is, it makes it easier to follow along. So if you have a 14-inch saw, you're going to want to put on as wide as blade as it is, except probably 5/8 or 3/4 of 14-inch saw. Here we go. Now that we've got the heartwood cut out of the saw, and I'll lay this on top of the cast iron table, and you can see how close I am with just a freehand cut. You can see that's pretty good. There's no dips or anything in it. And now that we've got this cut, I'll be setting the blade up at 5.5 inches, and then I'll be able to cut off the live edge on the side. So I'll do this to both boards and just rip that off. Well, all I've done is set up my fence at 5.5 inches. Now that I've got a flat edge that I can run it against. You notice my outfeed table, that's a shaper, and I put a plywood top on it with a couple of wedges underneath to have it the same height as my bandsaw. So whenever I'm not using the shaper, I can put this top on and use it as an outfeed table. It's on casters as well as the saw, so I can move it around. I'm just standing on the other side pulling it through, so the camera can actually get an angle of this. This is just cutting it down to size. These boards are 2 inches wide, so we'll be jointing the bottom of them and one side of them. And there's the waist. And here's my jointer. Like I was saying, when we don't use it for a few days, I put a light coat of wax on it. And this jointer is probably about 25 or 26 years old. So you can see the condition of the top. I'm just checking the tension on the safety. You always want to make sure that's on when you're jointing. This is a 8-inch Delta. It's been an excellent jointer. Like I said, it's probably 25 or 26 years old. So once I got the wax off, and then I can, I'm just showing you the wax on the cloth. It's just a thin coat. And what we use in the shop is a automotive wax. It's designed to go on steel surfaces. And I only take off about a 1/16 at a time. So what I'll be looking for in the boards, I'll be looking for the belly. And you don't want to rock in the center, so you want to cut off both ends until you get down to a flat surface. So the belly of the board will be up and not down. You don't want to rock it. And then we'll just go back and forth. As you can see, that's rocking back and forth. It's high on both ends. So I'll turn this board over so that I can cut the ends off. And there you can see the bellies in the center of the board facing up. And I'll just go that back and forth, take a bit off at a time. I only take it 1/8 to 1/16 off at a time. I believe I'm running 1/16. The least you take off, the longer your blades will last. So we'll just go back and forth until we get this flattened down. And like I said, what we're wanting to do is whenever I turn this board around and show you, you'll see that only the 2 ends are being planed off, and we have to get that down until that goes all the way through. But you can see I'm just making a mark on it there, so you can see where I'm talking about. And each pass, those will get longer and longer until we go from end to end. So I just let you watch this as we go back and forth. There'll probably be a bit of shavings building up, I've turned off the dust collector to do the video, so if you see shavings, we don't usually have that. We don't have them on the table, but to do this video, I didn't want the noise of the machine. As you can see, now the run is getting longer and longer. Here we go. A couple more passes and we'll have that ready. And you can see there's a twist in the board too. And on my push stick, I've got a little wood tab on the back of it that helps pushing through. As soon as I get the board through, I'm putting pressure on the outfield feed table. You want to follow that through. See, so that's good enough on that side. It's plain from end to end. Now we have a flat surface, and we want to put that up against the vertical fence. And then we'll go down, and then we'll have a 90. And you want to keep that tight against that outside fence. Go 2 or 3 times, and you can tell by the sound of the machine if you're getting bite on the wood or not. And we'll just go back and forth on that until we get the bottom planed off. Because what we're trying to do is make the side and the bottom square 90 degrees to each other, and then we can take it over and plane the top side of the board. Before you go through thickness planer, you have to have one flat surface. And if you don't do that, you have to have a sled and use wedges and wedge it through. This is the better way, I think, than taking the time and trying to wedge it. But if you don't have a jointer, then you certainly can put it on a sled and then bring it up to level and then run it through that way. We'll just check to see how square it is. And it's perfect. So those are my 2 square surfaces. They're 90 degrees to each other, as you can see. And now I can take it over and plane the top side of it on the thickness planer. And now I'll make it parallel to the bottom. And what I'll do is put a reference mark on it so I know which was done on the joiner. So when I'm moving it around and cutting it, I know which. So I just put a check mark, and then I'll put 3 lines on it in case I decide to book match these 2 boards. I hope you'll like these videos that we do and subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps us out a lot. And we have some great projects coming up in the future. I'm just going to show you here. I've seen a lot of people use thickness planers, and I don't think they know exactly how to set them. You'll see that there's all thickness planers have a stop block on them, a piece of steel in the center there. And what you want to do is put your wood in, bring it tight to that piece of steel in the center, and then once you get that, then turn your wheel exactly 1 full turn. And then I only take a 16th off at a time, so that's a half turn on mine. I imagine all thickness planers are different. But now we're planing the top of the board to the bottom, because the bottom is the flat edge. So we'll just run that through, and once we get these 2 surfaces parallel to each other. Now I'm not trying to get any thickness here. What I'm trying to do is just make them both flat, and then we'll take them back to the bandsaw and then mark them out, and we'll divide them in half. That's what we want to do, is to divide this 2-inch board into 2 boards. whenever you run your lumber through, you want to make sure that that it's not tearing. If the grain is going one way from the other, you may want to have to turn around and feed it from the opposite direction. But this is cutting pretty good, as you can see. And there's some check on this end. And I won't be cutting these off. I'll leave them full length because I never cut the lumber until I know the sizes that I need. So they've been planed the top and the bottom now, and I've got the square edge setting on the bandsaw, and then I'll be going with the jointed edge up against the fence, and then I'll set up my bandsaw and I'll cut this in half. So we're just resawing it. Just making sure that's locked in. So I'll be ending up with two 1-inch boards out of this. I'm just going slow so you can follow it along. When you're setting up your blades on saws, I see people putting them loose and trying to get a wobble and everything else. I was taught years ago by a bandsaw manufacturer to make them as tight as possible. That keeps the blade nice and taut, and that's what I do. I crank them down so they're really nice and all our cuts and everything are nice and straight. This maple is quite hard. It's been drying in the shop for a long time, so we just get this cut in half, and you see I'm using the same push stick, and it's got a bit of a block on the end of it which helps push the board through. On the next one, I should be able to change the angle so you can get a better view of it. There we go, we've got that through. And now we can put those aside, and we'll cut the other board. What I've done is put a chalk line on this down the center so that you can see how the blade follows along, and we're just offset of the chalk line. So if you're new to resawing and stuff, this is a good way to run a chalk line down the center. So if you are veering off one way or the other, or if you want to do it by freehand, you can just follow the line. You can see this is up against the fence, and it stays parallel with the line all the way out. I'm going to have about 1/4 of an inch to plane off, so I've got lots of material, so I'm not too worried about if there's a bit of a wow in it, but it's tracking pretty good. But if you have a problem with your saw and it's not tracking right, try tightening up your blades. And always check your guides. You see I've got a little bit of smoke coming out of the knot there. I don't have my dust collector on, so we've got a little bit of sawdust building up. Just let the blade cool down a bit. It gives you a better angle at it. There we go, there's our boards. They're cut in half, and we'll just run them through the planer again and because we have one flat bottom now, so we can lay that down on the bed and put the top up to the cutters and just run them through. And one side of the board is a little bit oversized than the other side, so I'll just I'll change the height of my planer, and one will be 3/4 and the other side will be 7/8. And then whenever I come to build anything, if I have to remill them again, I will. I never try to throw away wood until I have the exact sizes that I need. So, there we go, the same as before, just bring it up to the stop block and then wind it back a full turn, and then it'll run right through. And these are actually pretty smooth, so they'll only take a couple of runs, and then we'll be done with them, and then we'll go over and we'll square up the other edge. And this is actually beautiful maple. It's got some nice grain in it. It'll make a nice project. And this is the board that had the check on the end, and what I usually do is always put the check in first in case it wants to throw out or something. So it's just a little high in one end, so just have to reset the planer. There it goes. Now that I've got them both parallel and plane, now I have to cut off the other edge and make it parallel to the edge, and the best tool for this is the table saw. So I've got a splitter on mine as well. So what we do is just set this up. We're cutting this at 5 1/4 inches, so we'll just cut them all off, and now we have an S4S board, which means that all 4 sides are square and parallel, and we'll do all the boards like that. You can see there's a nice piece of maple, and then I can use it for a project, an upcoming project, and then once I have the sizes cut that I need for the project, and then I'll give it a finished sand. So we just go through with all the boards, and you can see all the nice grain in it, and whenever it gets sanded down and gets coated, it'll be a nice piece of lumber. So we've got all the edges all cut off. And I'll just show you a chunk of the board that it came off of. So there's a piece that we started with, another piece. I have 2 or 3 of these maple boards with the crotch in them split. So I've been saving them and milling them out, but that's basically what I started with, and this is what we ended up with. So this is how you go through and take it from that to this. And now we can use this on the next project. Well, thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe. And if you have any questions, give me a shout. Thank you.